Hey Sid,
Hey, Sumit.
tell us a bit about yourself, who you are, what you do before we get into the meat of the conversation today.
Okay. Yeah, I'm Siddharth. I'm currently in Amsterdam and in the process of transitioning or moving to Dubai as we speak. I am doing a bunch of things. I play second class cricket. I am running a company called Ukumi. I am a fractional VP at a company called Yoko and yeah, I have built products as a founder, as an employee in a big tech company, as well as in startups. So yeah, done a bunch of stuff.
Yeah, and I want to come to all of that bunch of things that you're doing, but we have been working together for the last 1 year, right? So I just want to go back to that time. Can you share a little bit how was life before we started to work together, which was in December of 23, right?
Yes. Yeah. Actually, it's very hard to even imagine life back in December. I remember only snippets of myself then. Few things clearly remember that this idea that what I was chasing, that there is a work life, there is a personal life. I am very sorted in work life, but I need to do something different in personal life. And I want to find my passion, but all of them were like things which I need to sit and figure out. And only if I could figure out, then I will act on it. All of these kind of existential questions, but among
Hmm.
all of them, there was a quite like mistrust in myself. Like I think the
Hmm.
biggest thing I was committed to back then was second guessing myself and protecting myself from my own future self, like planning everything, figuring everything out before I do anything.
Hmm. So tell me more, where were you compared to today? Like, did you already had a company like with all of this going on in your mind? What was the reality on the ground?
So reality on the ground was like I had left my a very safe job at booking.com, and I have already gone through like two scale ups, one every year. Uh, like I was trying to find my sweet spot where I thrive, but that was not happening. I wanted to do something of my own, but I didn't have the courage or I didn't have the right ingredient. I was looking for some external signal or motivator for that to happen. So I would say I was quite stuck in many sense. The only thing I had going for myself that I was actually playing cricket. So that was one thing which I felt like I was doing for myself.
Hmm. Yeah. So when did you realize like that we had to engage, or you're looking for something like which I offer? How did we get together in that
I
sense?
think let's say this. I think it was fundamentally you who kind of triggered that domino and chain reaction. We have been talking for much longer, actually, and we like when we met. I always knew the value we could create together, but I didn't have. I was putting my own self last, so I was not trusting myself enough to kind of invest in my own growth.
Hmm.
And when we actually started talking, you invited me for a 2 day workshop. And since it was a 2 day workshop, it felt safer. And that was the little courage I took for myself that to go into that workshop. And that workshop, of course, was a very intense, pressure packed thing. But yeah, but that was where it all started. And it didn't stop there. You reached out to me later and you said, let's get anything which is coming in the way out of the way and let's start working. So I think it was you who came to me and kind of believed in me, and coupled with the courage I showed, it just started something
Yeah.
that was unstoppable.
Yeah. I think that's very interesting, right? What you shared that like you believed in the coaching or what I was offering, but you did not have that trust in yourself to actually sign up, to actually start doing that. Yeah. What other concerns or hesitations did you had that stopped you? Because it's not just about us working together, right? It's the same thing stopping you from taking any big bet in your life. What other concerns or like any fear or hesitation that basically was stopping you from, as you said, putting yourself first?
There are so many layers to that. I think first is not trusting myself. So if somebody has, I don't know, like $50,000 in the bank, do they go do an MBA out of it or keep it saving? I would have chosen to save it because I would then appear financially responsible to everybody. So it's about looking good to others and being more compatible for everybody else, and but not invest in myself and kind of take that level of bet for myself. Putting myself last. Second, I would say is that I was also a bit scared that if I actually take the coachings, I have to take big actions and I have to drive change, and that change will be too uncomfortable. So better off not doing any of those. Uh, and yeah, eventually, this whole trap that I need to know first what do I want, then only I will invest in myself. So needing a lot of certainty before action to even take the action.
Yeah.
I think that was quite a tricky one.
Yeah, I think that's quite a dilemma. You want something, but you don't want to fail. And then what you also said, right? You want to build an appearance of how it looks rather than saying, I want it, so I'm investing in it. But also the other side, right? If you invest in it, then you have to be accountable. Then you can't just stay comfortable in the, like, I'm thinking, I'm looking for planning or whatever. And that's a huge insight.
Yeah.
So fast forward to now, right? Two things, right? One is how has that internal thing changed? And what have you done with your life? Like what has happened on the ground as a result?
Okay. I think first and foremost, what changed is that the only person whom you will live with for the rest of your life is yourself. So in my case, what framed for me is that whatever accumulation I do, I am somewhere not trusting myself in the future to tackle the problems of the future. And that stopped me from living from now. So now, whenever I encounter a problem or a self-doubt or anything, I think if that is in future, I will be capable in the future to handle it in the future. So I can really choose what I want now to happen. And this already leads to the second thing. Like I really now operate from what do I really want, and then shed all the guilt, all the perception issues about what I want can be perceived in something else, or wanting something is bad. Then practicing that I don't need anything, but I'm unashamed to want what I want. So this already gives me the courage that I am completely self-sufficient in my current existence, and I'm not vulnerable to anything, and I can still want more. So that itself answers one of the things just putting back in me in the past. Like in the past, I had this idea that I have to define what to like. I want a Mercedes car, and then I'll get a Mercedes car. But in reality, I couldn't have even imagined to be in this current situation last year. I couldn't have even asked for it. So what this year, so I think 2024 was one of the biggest years for me. Like I am like, I built a company. Now it's like 15 people big. I work for a company in South Africa, and I have helped them build an organization, like a highly productive organization. I have managed to fund my venture along with my co-founder for the longest period of time out of my own pocket, along with paying for my own lifestyle, and being responsible for my family and for my partners without overtly planning for any of those things, just trusting myself that things will fall in place and I will just operate from what needs to be. I will be capable to do what needs to be done at that point of time. And as a result, not only that, I am now moving with my partner to Dubai this year in 2025. And my startup already raised $500,000. I had the best cricket season. I played second-class cricket for Amsterdam Cricket Club. I was the highest wicket taker for my team. So that was the best cricket season I had. And people who know me from before, they would have probably seen me as a 95-kilo person. Today, I stand just 2 months after as an 83-kilo So I lost 12 kilos, and I'm still going to lose 5 more kilos to prepare for the next cricket season while I'm working as a VP at a company, running my own startup, and also taking on this move from one country to the other.
Yeah, yeah. Seeing your growth has truly been an inspiration for me also, Sid. And again, what you're sharing here is right, that you're constantly in action. You're wanting something without any guilt or shame, and you're going after it without trying to fix the whole thing beforehand, right? So there are multiple things, right? But can you, for the listeners, can you zoom in on one thing? I think maybe that funding part is critical because that allowed you to unlock a lot of things. Can you zoom in on that one experience and share like how was that a few weeks or a few months? How did that look like? How did you put it into practice, which led to actually unlocking that?
Uh, oh, that was very interesting because I think the biggest practice which came into the fundraising process is also trusting myself that I deserve the money more than that. Like I'm actually giving the other person an opportunity rather than asking them for a favor or basically anything. So,
Hmm.
like fundamentally, I did not need the money. Me and my co-founders were completely capable to running the company for as long as it needs in our own means. We fundamentally believe that I want the money
Hmm.
because it can accelerate some stuff, and if it can accelerate timelines, it can actually generate quite returns for the investors. And the biggest thing which I didn't even plan, it just happened automatically right in the moment, is that I reached out to my ex-boss or the CPO of Booking.com, David, and I sent him a text that I want you to invest in my company.
Hmm.
And the check size doesn't matter. I want you to invest. And then we met, and he just remembered the text, and he said, "You sent me. You wanted me to invest, so here's the money I'll put." And then he committed. He made an introduction to another person, and then just the dominoes started to fall. And we didn't want to raise like big invest in institutional round because we
Yeah.
needed capital. We were very clear about the amount we wanted to raise, and we
Hmm.
raised it in like 4 weeks straight.
Yeah. 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 That's amazing. Again, it's very important to just zoom in on what you shared earlier, that it's not like you want or need something, you're giving a opportunity or a gift to somebody else. Can you share when you're talking to and you spoke to many investors, right? How did that like inner shift, how did that change your language? How did that change your conversations with the investors?
Yeah, it was a journey. So initially, let's say the moment you put on LinkedIn that you're doing something stealth or you're doing
Yeah.
anything, you will receive a lot of inbounds from a lot of investors, their analysts, and things like that, right? So initially, you start by taking all those calls, showing up onto the calls, and you start to build your story. You start to tell your story. Eventually, you start to convince them into the about like you are an investable company.
Hmm.
But over a period of time, you really understand that they are reaching out to us because they want good deals. So I don't have to convince them that they were an investable company. I have to inform them. They don't know anything about us, and we know most about us. So I don't have to tell them, convince them of anything. I have to inform them, and then they're free to make the choice. They want to make the choice. So there is no convincing going on here. I have to inform them, and then I even started to be even more efficient. I like when I get an analyst email, I will already give them uh, a quick pitch, my terms, on which we are looking to raise money, what we need from the investor, and I would then say that only if we agree on these terms ballpark, that we will
Hmm.
actually have a call. And when we step onto the call, I would immediately get started with this exact condition rehash, that this is what we have agreed on, and so here is what we are doing, this is what we are going to be. So now you tell me, now, like, first, do you believe we are in your thesis or out your thesis? And if it's all right that we are not as a part of your interesting cohort, we will just save time. And if they say, no, we are interesting to them, I would say, okay, then let's schedule the next meeting now. And it's also okay if anytime in between you can come and say that, we are not moving forward, but let's book the next meeting now before we actually even disconnect the call. So that saw us get a lot of power and momentum into the process.
Yeah, yeah. Basically, what you're doing is you're stepping up as a leader and dictating the terms of how you want to operate without like putting anybody down, but you're not operating from a lower pedestal when you're talking to. So now after 1 year, right? After 1 year, you have a company, 15 people, you have funds. How has that impacted your confidence or your like sense of what is it that becomes possible for you in the future?
I think these things have nothing to do with my confidence in the sense, like, I think they are unrelated. These are just like practice
Mhm.
of being, like, just trusting myself. And eventually, like, putting together a team of 15 is actually like being successful 15 times, trusting myself with the gut. Like, and people whom you work with, they like to be trusted, they like to be selected, they want to see that, like, we are not arriving at a conclusion after a long drawn process. They want to see that like, I know that they are successful, I know that they are good at what they do, and I am giving them an opportunity which will be the right place for them, from intellectual challenge as well as in terms of companionship.
Hmm.
So, for me, these are all just results which are being created of me being just more authentic myself.
Hmm. Yeah. Tell me a bit more about that. All of these results, like I see a lot of vision or caring behind it. What do these results mean to you on a deeper level?
Uh, like, for me, like, in fact, just before we were talking about, like, I am I'm living in the unknown right now, in the sense, because I have never felt this powerful and driven
Hmm.
before. So what these results mean to me is hard to say. It just gives me more power to kind of uh, keep growing and being open to the unimaginable. Like, like, being very clear what do I want, and being unashamed in wanting them, and being open to new possibilities coming up, and being open to also new people coming my way. And whenever, like, I've also learned that there are plans and there are opportunities, and big things happen by taking opportunities. And for you to take on opportunities, the only thing which comes in the way is you trusting yourself with it.
Hmm. Yeah, yeah. So in the last 1 year, what would you say is the most unexpected benefit or a surprising benefit that you have received?
Like I said, like, if you would have asked me where do I want to be at the end of the year, I wouldn't have said. I would have been probably happy at half of everything.
Hmm.
But now I feel, like, yeah, like, yeah, anything can happen. Like, you just have to want. Like, it is just, everything is just one unreasonable request away.
Wonderful, wonderful. So now coming back to like our working together, can you share a bit for the listener? Like, how was it like to work with me? We have been meeting almost every 2 weeks for the entire year. What would you say like stands out about how I work? How was your experience of working with me on a regular basis?
Like, what stands out is that you have to have the courage to act. I think that is fundamentally what you demanded of me. And you like, you always say that you create yourself and the other person in the same call at the same time. So I think that is how you created me, to be courageous, and there is no other way. Second is to be authentic, to really, uh, like, there is no trying, there is no wishing, there is no hope, there is just what is. And then there is wants. And the best line I ever got from you, and that is still what drives me the most, is what I say happens.
Hmm.
So I think that has been, uh, really a wonderful articulation of feeling the power. Like when I say something and it happens. Like the best compliment I got from a friend was when I told him, even before I started my diet program, he was in Dubai, and I just reached out to him and said that I'm actually planning to Dubai, to move to Dubai. And he said, "Do you have a job here?" I said, "No, I don't have a job in Dubai." Uh,
Mm.
so how would you move here? How would you live here? And I said, I will figure out. And I said, I want to lose 12 kilos, like I actually 15 kilos of weight. And he said, Sid, the way I've seen you this year, one thing I've learned is if you want something, that happens. And that was the greatest, the compliment I felt was like, this resonates so well with what we have tried to come together to. And then other thing which I didn't see it coming, but probably was a pleasant surprise, was compressing time. Like even let's say this, if you even if I would have had to say that okay, I will achieve all of this thing, I would have probably given it 3 years time. It just happened in
Yeah,
a year.
yeah. I love it, right? And I just want to add that once again that what you have done this year is no small feat. There were times when you shared or you did something, and I was thinking, is it really possible? Is it Sid now like going beyond his means to be very authentic, right? It's what you have done is really has been inspirational for me, and it's not like I'm giving you something. It's like we're working together. It's a collaboration, and probably I'm as much inspired by you than whatever you got from me. So I just want to add that, right?
Yeah,
So before, yeah,
yeah, and in fact, Sumit, like I think, yeah, who could have imagined like this time last, like you were taking a bet on me, and now you are working with all the founding team of the startup. Like you're
yeah,
working with all of them now.
yeah, and I think we're just getting started. I think you're just getting started.
Yes. 100%.
Yes. So before we wrap this up, right, what would you say to somebody who is considering working with me, given because this requires a lot, right? It's like I demand a lot of like time, obviously, money, but then also commitment, right? Commitment you cannot weigh it in time or money, but how would you say to somebody, how has your investment panned out, and what would you recommend to somebody who is maybe hesitant or on the line to work with me or not?
So the only thing I can say is my real experience. Like first time I hesitated for 6 months, and then when we came about renewing it, I took like 2 weeks. And then the next time we didn't even have to have a conversation. Like we just said
Mm.
like, yeah, you're not doing it just with me. You're doing it also for my entire team. So this is how it will happen for the next person as well. Like there is no going around. Like there will be doubts, but that will be the best investment they will ever make.
Absolutely. So again, I want to wrap this up by just summarizing, right? For anybody who is listening, like Sid has not like figured out how to deal with the uncertainty or how to solve all the challenges or all the reasons. What you're talking about basically is they are still there. You're just moving forward. You're not just stopping. Everything is still there, right? But your action has become faster and you're not getting stopped. And it's not about eliminating anything because I think as long as you're a human being and as long as you keep on going after big goals, those fears and doubts will basically is a natural part of the journey. But what you're saying is all of those still remain, and because I trust myself so much, I just do what I have to do and then deal with what happens after that.
Yes, 100%.
Perfect, Sid. Then thank you for this time. This was it has been a pleasure working with you for the last 1 year, and I think there are many more years to come. And we'll probably record another interview like that in another 1 year and say, like, how did that happen?
Yes, I'll look forward to that.
Perfect, Sid. Thank you for your time.
Thank you so much.